Good afternoon and welcome to this afternoon's chair reception, also known as the best part of my job. I was talking earlier, sorry to put you on the spot, I was talking earlier to Jeff Gordon over there, and he was telling me, I'm always amazed as how great our colleagues here are around here. And certainly this ceremony will be, again, evidence of this. We'll hear about amazing work from sensors to music to large-scale machine learning to parallel computing, etc. Through our chair recipient today, Chris Donahue, Virginia Smith, Guy Blelloch, and Srinivasa Narasimhan. We'll also hear from some of their colleagues to talk about our recipients' work, and we'll hear from one of our chair's donors. So first, I'd like to hand it over to our provost, Jim Garrett.
Thank you, Marshall. I do appreciate you're inviting me here to be a part of this event, and I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today too. It really is important for us to celebrate together our colleagues who are being recognized this way. It really is a pleasure to see so many members of the CMU community. I see folks from outside of computer science here as well. The honorees, their families, colleagues, and friends, and donors too. Thank you so much for all being here. On behalf of President Farnham Johanian and the CMU leadership team, I am truly delighted to congratulate all of the honorees and celebrate with them as we really should do more often. I do appreciate this. Before we get started, though, I do want to take a moment to remember somebody we lost recently, Emeritus President Jerry Cohen. Many of you know that Jerry passed away last month and is dearly missed by our community. For those of you who had the pleasure of working with him, I certainly did from early in my career, and I know many of you did as well. He was an exceptional leader, a brilliant academic administrator, and an academic as well. And you only had to talk to him for a few minutes, and you realized what a genuinely nice and pleasant individual he was. Our thoughts are with his wife Bunny and daughter Haley and their families, and I thank you all. Many of you have shared sentiments with Jerry's family, and so please join me in just a moment of silence, and then we'll continue. Thank you. You stole my line. I know I say this very often, but this is really one of the most favorite things I get to do as a provost. And the other part of that is there aren't that many things that I enjoy getting to do as provost. So it's really great to be here, and it's a wonderful opportunity to recognize our faculty for their outstanding achievements and the great distinction that they're achieving in their fields, the reputation they're helping to bring to the university and to your amazing School of Computer Science. We're grateful for what you all do and for what you bring not only to computer science but to the entire CMU community. And I also want to express my sincere appreciation on behalf of the university to the donors who make these professorships possible, like Roger Dannenberg. Endowed professorships are among the highest academic honors that the university can bestow upon a member of our faculty. Along with career development professorships, they allow Carnegie Mellon to support and recognize its world-class faculty and strengthen our reputation as a university poised at the forefront of research, creativity, and discovery. When we recognize you all for the amazing things you do, it reflects back on the school and on the university and on all of our other colleagues in our department. So today's recipients represent a truly distinguished group of experts in computer science, robotics, and artificial intelligence, for which CMU is really best known for. With their endowed professorships, our recipients will have access to resources to expand their research endeavors, to generate impactful work, and to strengthen CMU's foundation in interdisciplinary research and education. Chris, Virginia, Guy, and Srinivasa, true congratulations, deep heartfelt congratulations on reaching this incredible milestone. Mark Hamlet used to say when you receive one of these, it's actually also required that you stay at Carnegie Mellon for the rest of your careers. I'm so grateful that to have you a part of this CMU community, and I certainly look forward to seeing what all you will achieve in the coming future. So now I'm going to turn things back over to our first presenter, which is a true champion of the School of Computer Science. I know because I work with him a lot and he yells at me a lot. Professor Tom Cortina, Associate Dean for Undergraduate Programs. Tom?
What an introduction. Thank you, Provost Gary, for being here. I'm Tom Cortina, the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Programs here in the School of Computer Science, and I've been a teaching professor, I had to think about this, celebrating 20 years this year in August. Yay. Although I've been teaching for 36 years undergraduate, so I started teaching when I was 4. But I'm here to introduce the recipient of the Dannenberg Career Development Professorship. So the theme of this first professorship is about computer music. And I know when I talk to students about computer music, their ears light up. What's that, right? So you can think of computer music as the analog to computer graphics in the field of computer science. It focuses on audio signal processing, sound synthesis, automated composition, human-computer performance, music classification and understanding, and other tasks, audio signal tasks in the computation domain. When I arrived at CMU, I met Roger Dannenberg, and he was teaching a very successful course in Intro to Computer Music, which I had taught at my previous universities, although not as well as Roger does, of course. And I learned a lot from him when I finally met him. And I saw him guiding not just the course, but also undergraduates and graduates in computer music research. So I realized here it was really considered an important domain of computing. Luckily for me, not Roger retiring, but when Roger retired, I was able to take over the course for a while and teach the course to keep it alive, because I really wanted to do that. Roger, thank you for creating this new professorship to highlight the importance of computer music as a domain in computer science. Now, the recipient of the Dannenberg Career Development Professorship, who I'm going to be introducing, is Chris Donahue. And Chris has had a lifelong passion for computing and music, and it's been exemplified by an unusual academic career path. He received his PhD from the music department at UC San Diego, and then went on for a postdoc at Stanford in computer science. So a very interesting combination that we have here. And now he's teaching here and has PhD students already. His research sits at the intersection of music and AI with the goal of unlocking and augmenting human creative potential in music, with the key word being human. Chris has a particular research focus on real-world interactive music systems that allow people to harness the potential of AI to accomplish new creative goals. And his research has even been featured in a live concert by the band The Flaming Lips. Can't say that about a lot of our faculty. As a teacher, he's passionate about making computer music and audio a core in the CS curriculum. He's a dedicated mentor to new PhD students, and I have the honor of co-teaching with him this semester the Intro to Computer Music course, and he's added a new energy into the course. It's been a great pleasure teaching with him. Let's welcome Chris up. Congratulations for your new professorship, Chris.
Thanks so much, Tom, for that kind introduction. It's really been a pleasure co-teaching this course with you this semester. Yeah, I'm deeply honored to be appointed the inaugural Dannenberg Assistant Professor of Computer Science. I'd like to start by expressing profound gratitude to Professor Roger Dannenberg for his generous endowment of this professorship. but also his lifelong dedication to advancing computer music research, recently acknowledged by the ACM Fellowship. I would also like to thank the Provost and the Dean's Office, as well as CSD department leadership, for this prestigious recognition. On a personal level, I'm humbled to receive this recognition in particular. My interest in the intersection of CS and music began during an elective course on computer music I took as an undergraduate. The course skewed more creative than research-oriented, but nevertheless, the instructor would often mention Roger's research program at CMU specifically, highlighting his many contributions to computer music topics like accompaniment, programming languages, systems, and educational tools. I also learned that I had already directly benefited from Roger's work via Audacity, a free audio editing tool that he and his students developed here in CSD, which I hope Roger's okay with me saying I've installed on every computer I've used since I was a teenager. I'm truly honored to be continuing the legacy of computer music research in this very storied department. All right. While music is a part of all of our lives, it is not commonly thought of as a part of computer science. This has always been a bit surprising to me. So much of our music experience is now intertwined with computing, from the music streaming services we use to enjoy it to the software applications we use to create it. Computer music research seeks to further strengthen this relationship, through which we stand to not only expand the boundaries of both music and computing, but also to uncover broad insights into the nature of our perception and our creativity. Over the course of my career, I hope to elevate the recognition of this field within computer science, and I already find myself benefiting from Roger's legacy through the high regard for this research held by SCS faculty. We're in the midst of an extraordinary moment in computer music history, incidentally, driven by recent progress in my research area of music and AI. In the past year, we have seen the emergence of staggering new music generation capabilities, driving a surge of both academic and commercial interest in this space. I find myself transfixed by these developments, simultaneously excited about the boundless creative possibilities, but also troubled by the potential to further the commodification of music. It's perhaps more important now than ever to have academic research in this space to help guide this technology towards outcomes that expand rather than contract human creativity. By establishing an enduring presence of computer music research in CSD, this faculty chair position helps support this mission. There are many others that I owe a huge debt of gratitude for this honor. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my advisors and mentors, including Percy Leong, Julian McCauley, Zach Lipton, Miller Puckett, and Peter Stone. My career is hinged on a strange strategy of identifying brilliant CS faculty with a secret passion for music and tricking them into advising me. And I'm very lucky to have worked with all of them. I would also like to thank all of my mentees, especially the students in my new lab here at CMU. It's been a privilege to witness their impressive research and personal growth over just my first year here. I'd like to thank a number of SCS faculty who have been vital sources of advice and support, including Nihar Shah, Shinji Watanabe, Amit Talwalkar, Aditi Raghunathan, and Tom Cortina. Additionally, there are too many CMU faculty to name that have already become close friends. I feel very lucky to be surrounded by a community of such brilliant and welcoming faculty here. Finally, I would like to thank my partner Maggie for her unwavering love and support, and my parents who supported and fostered my passions from a very young age. And with that, I would like to invite Marshall back to the podium to be followed by some words from Roger. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chris. We are fortunate to have you at CMU. Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from the donor whose generosity made Chris's chair possible, your fellow faculty member, Roger Dannenberg. We're grateful Roger chose to endow this chair. Roger is a professor emeritus of computer science, art, and music. He received his PhD in computer science from CMU in 1982. He is internationally known for his research in the field of computer music and for Audacity, as we mentioned earlier, the widely used audio editor. His current work includes live music performance with artificial computer musicians, interactive media, high-level languages for sound synthesis, and automatic composition. Roger is also an accomplished trumpet player and composer. And you cannot see this, but those of us in the front row can see that he has trumpets on his socks, actually. So please join me in thanking Roger for his generosity and for creating this professorship. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you so much. We're going to need reading glasses. I started grad school the same year that Voyager 1 was launched. Like the Voyager 1 project, I had no idea what was really ahead or how far my trajectory would take me. I had the great fortune to arrive at CMU to learn from faculty like Herb Simon, Alan Newell, Bill Wolfe, Nico Haberman, and Raj Reddy. These were not only great minds, but they encouraged students and other faculty to pursue their passions. They helped me discover that music was not just a serious personal pastime, but a genuine discipline of scientific discovery. I like to think that science is what keeps us alive, but art is what we live for and what we are remembered by. Music is special in that it is both an artistic practice encompassing emotion, expression, and beauty, as well as a scientific discipline involving theory, logic, physics, cognition, robotics, and much more. So music may be a cornerstone of society and humanity, but it's a tough area to find funding in. The NSF, ARPA, and industry all contributed, but my work was never on their priority list, and as a result, I tried for decades to raise some kind of endowment that would provide an alternative funding source. So eventually, I realized that I no longer needed support to pursue research on my own, and that's when I realized how much I had been working not just for myself, but for music and computation as a discipline at CMU, and what a loss it would be both personally and to the field if all this work simply came to a dead end. Well, some good fortune came just at the right time, and I was able to create this career development chair that I believe will help maintain Carnegie Mellon's leadership in this area of music and computation. It's been a privilege to work with the great students and faculty here, and with their help to have advanced this field to where we are today. As Voyager 1 continues into interstellar space, I believe that there is similarly no limit to the discipline of music and computation. It continues to reveal new opportunities and have tremendous impact. I'm very happy that we have a chair recipient, and I wish for Chris the great life and career that Carnegie Mellon continues to offer me. And I trust that this chair will help you follow your passion for music and computing wherever it takes you. Now I'd like to invite one of those professors I've had the pleasure of collaborating with, Jeff Gordon.
So I was talking, as Marshall mentioned, I was talking with Marshall earlier. You know, I just, from day to day, don't really think about it. But then when I come to an event like this, it makes me take a step back and realize what an amazing set of people are my colleagues. It's just, I don't know, it boggles my mind. And it's what makes me happy to come into work every day. One of those amazing colleagues, Virginia Smith, is here to receive the Leonardo Career Development Chair today. She really needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce her anyway. Virginia did her PhD and postdoc at Berkeley and Stanford, and comes to us as an assistant professor in the Department of Machine Learning. She is widely recognized as being one of the leaders, the founding people in actually several related fields. So federated learning, optimization, privacy, ML and systems. And when you listen to a list like that, right, that sounds like it should be a list for a professor who's about to retire. But it's not. You know, all of this recognition is well-deserved. So I've personally benefited from many of the things that Virginia's done. Maybe smallest, the course that I'm teaching this semester, Machine Learning with Big Data. Virginia was one of the people who introduced this course to CMU. I'm still relying on some notes that she's written. I think they're very good. It seems to go well with the students. But you know, maybe on a larger scale, the Machine Learning and Systems, MLSys conference, Virginia is one of the founders of that conference. Federated learning. So federated learning is the practice of sending out machine learning to be done on all of the devices at the edge. You probably have some of Virginia's work, you know, running on your phone as we speak, even, because you're, you know, hopefully not using it. You know, all of these things. Large-scale distributed optimization, being able to tune the behavior of the optimization algorithm to the precise behavior of the machine that it's running on, right? This is the sort of thing that makes the world run these days, right? It's what in the end enables us to optimize these large models that we all are coming to depend on. In addition to all of the amazing research work, Virginia's incredibly generous with her time and giving back to the field, ranging from curation things like making sure that there exists a conference in an important area, all the way to being one of the people who started a large initiative to reduce attrition of women in computer science, which has it's turned into an ongoing program that's still helping many up-and-coming entrants into the field of machine learning and computer science today. With that said, I'd like to welcome first Virginia's family. So thank you for being here today, and also welcome Virginia to come and take the stage. So congratulations.
All right, thank you. Thanks so much. So first and foremost, I want to thank the generous sponsors who made this chair and this opportunity possible. So thank you to all the folks at Leonardo. I've gotten to meet some of them in the last few weeks. So thank you to them for the generous support. I also want to thank Jeff. Thank you so much for the kind words, the kind introduction. And broadly, just, you know, for everyone in the machine learning department, I started to write down a list of names and essentially got to the entire department. So both the faculty and the staff, just for being wonderful, incredibly supportive. This has been just an awesome place to be a junior faculty and to start my career. So that's really because of all the fantastic people here. While we're talking about some of those fantastic people at CMU, I want to thank my students who all showed up here today. So thank you. They are, and I want to make sure you know I wrote this down before I saw you all come here, so I was going to say this anyway, but they are insanely brilliant, very hardworking, and they make all of this research possible. So I'm incredibly grateful to work with them, and also just because they make my job super fun and rewarding. So thank you. I also have a few more thank yous. I want to thank my parents who are actually, yes, they're sitting here today. So They came up from Virginia. My dad is a statistician and my mother is a politician, which I feel like is the great starting point of a joke for how I ended up in machine learning. But they are, I think it's obvious they're here today. They're incredibly supportive, super, super fortunate to have them as my parents. And just want to thank, my family a little bit more broadly, my two brothers, my in-laws, my extended family have just a really awesome support network. So I want to thank my partner, Amit. So we have had a pretty crazy past several years moving across the country and starting these jobs and having two kids and going through the pandemic. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes to make all that possible, daycare drop-offs, coordinating meetings and doctor's trips and play dates. So really cannot imagine having a better partner and friend, someone who supports me and challenges me and inspires me through all of that. So thank you, Amit. Lastly, I want to thank two people who are very, very special to me, Sejal and Mira. So my daughter Sejal is sort of paying attention and is here. Hi, Sejal. So, this is far and away, I think, the work I'm most proud of. And they make me so happy and give me such purpose in my life. So thank you, Sejal. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. I think I'm up next. So I'm here to introduce Guy. So I just wanted to very, very briefly hit the high points. He's authored over 200 research papers in top places, notably spanning theory to practice, algorithms to programming languages. He's really a renaissance in that sense. His work has been pioneering and influential, heavily cited, best paper awards galore, impacting all sorts of products. It's had this sustained impact for 35 plus years now, including on areas such as cloud computing, GPUs, and many core processors that were not even in existence when his work was done. Okay, so that's foresight. Among his many honors, Guy won the prestigious IEEE Charles Babbage Award in 2021 for contributions to parallel programming, parallel algorithms, and the interface between them. He's a fellow of the ACM in 2011, and he won the inaugural SPA Parallel Computing Award for lifetime achievement in parallel computing. One short note on his research, specific on his research, he's had this long-standing stubborn belief that contrary to all popular conventional wisdom, it is possible to design parallel algorithms that are both guaranteed asymptotically optimal and world beaters, okay? And they just require Guy's magic touch of combining simplicity, dose of randomization, the right parallel primitives, blazingly fast implementations of those primitives, which Guy himself often does, with the help of his students, but a lot of that work is just on his own, and a deep mathematical analysis in order to get those asymptotic guarantees. Moving on, in terms of education, I note that he's been a leader in the introduction of parallel thinking early in the undergraduate curriculum, computer science curriculum. If you're not familiar with that phrase, it's basically the notion that many problems, if you just express them, there's natural parallelism in them. And yet, when we teach introductory computer science, we force them to express those programs in sequential languages. Okay, and it just seems like working backwards. And so he developed courses here that embody parallel thinking that have been very successful. And again, it's his stubbornness that, in contrast to decades of computer science education practice that viewed that parallel thinking was one of these advanced topics that was optional you took at the end of your, after you learned everything else. He's organized or gave keynote talks at a half dozen conferences and workshops on teaching parallelism, so he's really spread the good word. In terms of service, I don't want to give a long list, but I do want to note that he served as Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education, following his passion on undergraduate education.
And maybe rather important to us where we're situated right now is he was chair of the building committee, okay? So if you feel that this building's architecture and design is inspired, say, compared to this kind of plain-looking CIC building over there, hopefully none of the architects are here for that, you can thank Guy for that. Finally, mentoring. Guy is fabulous with students. One of his PhD students recently won the ACM Dissertation Award. That's one per year. His PhD students have gone on to faculty positions at Stanford, MIT, Cornell, Technion, and yes, even here at CMU. I want to share one last thing. I learned from his students that the most coveted slot to have your meeting with Guy was the last one in the afternoon, okay? Because if he didn't have a next meeting that sort of ushered you out of the room, he would completely lose track of time. And so a 1-hour brainstorming session would turn into 90 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, cut short only by Ann, who's back there, calling him on the phone saying, weren't you supposed to be home an hour ago to make dinner? And then he would dash off. So with that, I ask Guy to the podium.
Well, thank you, Phil. I'd like to thank the UNCAS. I had to look up who UA Whitaker is. It's UNCAS Whitaker and Helen Whitaker. Apparently, this is a chair that was given back in 1975, originally held by Alan Newell, and then it went on to Takeo. And I looked up UNCA's background. So he was a CMU graduate in 1929. And he went on at some point to found the Whitaker Foundation, which apparently gave this, an extremely generous foundation which gave hundreds of millions of dollars to different institutions around the country. So that's thanks to them. Now, in terms of my time here at CMU, I think CMU's been like an ideal place for me. As Phil mentioned, I like working across disciplines, across fields. And CMU is extremely supportive for that. And in particular, my colleagues have been just amazing. I arrived here within days of my colleague Bob Harper, who we've worked with for, 30 plus years now, 35 years. And he taught me everything I know about programming languages. I didn't know much about it when I first arrived. And then at the similar times, I was working with Phil. He wasn't here at the time. He was at Bell Labs, but I used to go visit him. And then he came here, and that was great. And just an amazing number of other people. Gary Miller was here at the beginning. I learned a lot about theory from Gary Miller. Randy Bryant, was my mentor when I first arrived here. And I've worked with people across the university, Ravi in the Tepper School, Russell Swartz in biology, Omar Gaidas in engineering, and others. And I've worked with Danny Slater. And there's just been an amazing set of colleagues, and it's been great to work with them. In particular, I love learning new things about these different areas, and that's not necessarily my central point. And CMU's been very encouraging of that, as opposed to like putting people into cubby holes and setting them aside. So that's great. I'd also like to thank the leadership here that keeps this environment going. Now, as it was mentioned, I was involved in this building here. In fact, I remember spending many hours discussing this room itself. And I could probably say that about just about every room in here. Somehow I got over-involved in this. But I remember the conversation I had about this room it was originally 15 feet narrower. So the wall would have been about where you're sitting. And I said, that's not the right proportion. And the engineer said, we can't make it wider. The steel beams won't support it. Okay, well, after a while, I talked them into it. So if the roof falls down, don't blame me for the mishaps. But yeah, I even remember talking about the particular wall system there. That turns out to be acoustic material in each of those little halls behind there. And we spent hours talking about how to get the acoustics right. But I've always been very detailed-oriented. In fact, my students are always surprised when they start working with me and they find how much code I'm doing and the fact that I'm willing to sit down and debug code with them. And I think that's a very important thing as a mentor, is to stay involved in the details of things. And if there's one thing, I would, suggest to, others, that's always been, the way I feel I've been successful is understanding everything down to the low level. So I think that's all I have, and I forget. Yeah, that's it.
It's my immense pleasure to introduce Srinivasa for his chair, and I think me and my colleagues in robotics owe him a debt on two axes. First, as a researcher, I remember reading his papers as a much more junior researcher and always being amazed at the depth of thought, but more importantly, sort of the fundamental contributions of his work. And he's forgotten more about light transport than I will ever know. And all of us who work in the field owe him an immense debt for that. And probably secondly, and probably much more personally for me, we owe him an immense debt as a department. He shepherded the department through a really tough time during the COVID period as the interim director of robotics. And I can tell you now, doing this job, it is a very difficult job and a very thankless one, and COVID only made that more challenging. And so I think it's very rare to have someone who's such a compelling researcher, but also so dedicated to this community and everybody here in robotics. And we're really honored to have somebody like that continue to do amazing work and continuing to contribute to the sense of community we have here. So I'll keep my remarks short, but we owe you a lot, and this is a small appreciation of all of the stuff you've done over the years, but I know your career is going to continue to amaze us, and we're just really happy to have you here. So please join me in welcoming Srinivasa.
Thank you, Matt. I think the day you arrived, I was very relieved. Yeah, I'll tell you a story about the pandemic as I go along. So I also want to congratulate Guy and Virginia and Chris as well. And I want to echo Guy that this is an amazing honor. I wish to thank the UA and Helen Whitaker Professorship and the Whitaker Foundation for such a sustained support and generosity. This is, I think I shouldn't say this, but it was established when the year I was born. So it's a pretty old thing. So it's growing up as a student, I was in awe of Takeo Kanade. Takeo Kanade was my hero, as he was for many, many people. And I grew up reading his title. It says UA and Helen Whitaker Professor Takeo Kanade. And that's the only professorship I sort of knew for a long time. And it's just mind-boggling and it humbles me that I have this honor today. And when I started at CMU, Takeo took me under his wings, and he insisted that my office be next to his. And in his words, so that he can keep an eye on me. He gave me amazing wisdom over the years, but more importantly, he gave me his students and postdocs from Japan to help work on my crazy projects. I remember thinking, who needs the US federal government when we have the Kanade Science Foundation next door? So I owe a lot to Takeo, and this chair really means a lot to me personally because of that as well. And I also owe a lot to Takeo's student, Sri Nair, who was my thesis advisor. And I don't think anyone has influenced me intellectually more than Sri. And he taught me to be brave and chart my own path when the entire computer vision community was focused elsewhere, right? My thesis was on developing methods to make any system, whether it's a vehicle or a robot or even a human, perform well in poor weather conditions. And many people came and told me, Srinivas, why are you thinking about bad weather when computer vision systems don't even work in clear weather? What the heck? And a funny thing, in Stanford, I was giving a talk, and one of the professors said, "What is bad weather?" So CMU knew what bad weather was and hired me. So, I soon came to realize that this research was much more broader,
and in fact applied to any situation where light has to go through, where we push light through something, right? And efficiently pushing light through something is incredibly hard problem. And so the thing that I'm thinking about is how do you do AI and computation with light so that we can crack this problem? And if we did that, there is huge impact to be had in many, many fields, including intelligent transportation, agriculture, marine inspection and oceanography, atmospheric optics, climate science, healthcare, and so on. Everything relies on how we push light through stuff, right? And along the way, it also allows us to build amazing cameras, extraordinary cameras of the future. So my students and postdocs and collaborators, some of them who are here as well, have achieved significant successes over the past 20 years. They are the ones who deserve the credit, and I'm deeply thankful to them for teaching me along the way. And this ride has been great. And as Matt mentioned, the Robotics Institute is probably the best place to do unconventional projects that are impactful. And I had the extreme honor to lead the department through some of the worst times during the COVID pandemic. And I'll tell you, the amount of sacrifices that the staff made, that the faculty made, it was just amazing, right? And so that made me think that RI is not a department, but a family, okay? I'll tell you one funny story about the pandemic, which is there was a situation where two people had to lift an object, and it was not 6 feet apart. and it was, I wrote 100 emails. I think Phil received 98 of them or something. And at the end of it, we had this contraption built that that's under, supports the other object, and you had to be 6 feet apart. So it was kind of a bizarre time in our lives. And one person I have to single out is Marshall. Marshall actually is officially my mentor. I don't know if you knew this. Yeah, that's right. And so he has not only been, a great mentor to me for the last 20 years, but also a dear friend, and during the pandemic, the most reliable partner. So thank you so much, Marshall. And last but not least, I have Meghna, my wife, here, and I wish to thank her for supporting me, but not really supporting me, but tolerating me with all my weird projects, all kinds of projects. We had a project where we had a glass tank, and we had to pour wine in it. 50 liters of wine. So it's kind of crazy projects. And all the deadlines and hours in these past 18 years. So I don't think I could have achieved much without her support. So thank you, Karna. So with that, let me ask my boss, Marshall, to come back to the stage. See ya.
Aren't they amazing? Let's thank all our recipients again. Thank you again, Roger, for your remarks, and again for your philanthropic support of SCS. Also, thank you to all the presenters for your participation as well. The reception will continue outside. Recipients stay for a little bit. There's some pictures. There are actual chairs here for you. I don't know if you know this, okay? So please join us for food and drinks outside. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and congratulations to all.